Hey there everybody and welcome back. I'm your host Joshua Ryan. Early reactions for Ghostbusters Afterlife are out, and for the most part, viewers are saying it's a great time that does justice to the fan favorite franchise. This film is acting as a direct sequel to Ghostbusters 1 and 2, while totally ignoring the 2016 reboot that divided fans. Well, it didn't really divide them honestly, because pretty much everybody hated it. With the new film only about a month away, we thought it was a great time to cross the streams and roast some marshmallows with a look back at one of the greatest comedies ever made about scientists fighting ghosts in New York.
Ghostbusters, starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis.
Once upon a time, beloved comedian and actor Dan Aykroyd had a crazy idea for a movie. It would star him and his best buddy John Belushi. The two had starred together in The Blues Brothers and Saturday Night Live, and they had amazing comedic chemistry. The story was about a duo of scientists battling ghosts, ghouls, and everything else strange in the neighborhood, and that movie was called Ghost Smashers. Nope, don't like that. Just doesn't sound right. But that was the original title for the story of Ghostbusters. Of course that changed, and so did the cast. Following the untimely death of John Belushi, the script was rewritten. The original concept featured the Ghostbusters already in business at the start of the movie. It was a much bigger concept that would see the Ghostbusters traveling through time and various dimensions. It was an ambitious vision that would require a huge budget, and studios weren't too keen on spending so much dough on a sci-fi action comedy. So following a quick rewrite from Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, who also plays Egon in the movie, Ghostbusters was on its way to production with a 1984 release. The cast turned out perfect, but it was almost very different. The part of Winston, the non-scientist everyman who joins the team as a late recruit, was written for Eddie Murphy. After Murphy passed on the role in order to make Beverly Hills Cop, Ernie Hudson was brought in to fill the role, and he nailed it. The part of Louis Tully, the annoying neighbor who has issues with demon dogs, was going to be played by the late, great John Candy before going to Rick Moranis. And the most important role in the film, that of Dr. Peter Venkman, was set to be played by Bill Murray. But Bill had a reputation for being unreliable. There was no telling for sure if he'd actually make it to set and play the role until he finally did. And the film's final villain, the shape-shifting god of destruction known as Gozer the Destructor, was originally set to be played by Paul Reubens, better known as Pee Wee Herman. What finally came together was a perfect blend of the supernatural, comedy, catchy soundtrack, and ghost BJs? Ghostbusters ended up being a bigger hit than anybody expected. It ended up topping the box office as the biggest movie of 1984. And when a movie is that successful, you give it an immediate sequel, right? Well, they would make a sequel, but that wouldn't happen for a few more years. No, in the late 80s and early 90s, if something was popular, you gave it a cartoon. And so that's exactly what they did. No, not that one. This one. The Real Ghostbusters. These two similarly named cartoons premiered only 5 days apart from each other in 1986. Filmation's animated Ghostbusters is probably best remembered for the gorilla who joined the team on their quests to rid the world of paranormal entities. The premise is very similar to the Ghostbusters we know and love, but they're completely unrelated. Filmation actually owned the rights to the title Ghostbusters from a live-action television series they aired all the way back in 1975. This forced the title of the animated series to change to The Real Ghostbusters. The cartoon was great. It ran for 5 years and had over 100 episodes. It continued the adventures of the team, fighting ghosts and ghouls and things that go bump in the night around New York, but added Slimer to the team. Slimer had a small part in the original movie where he, well, slimed. For the cartoon, he became a sort of mascot and goofy presence that added comic relief. His popularity as a character skyrocketed, and it's because of this cartoon that Slimer is still so well known and fondly remembered. Little tidbit of trivia for you here. Aykroyd modeled Slimer after John Belushi as a way to pay tribute to the actor and include him in the film.
Ivan Reitman film. Ghostbusters 2.
In 1989, we got a true live-action follow-up. Ghostbusters 2 finds the team divided. split up and in debt after the people of New York abandoned them, essentially. They went from being heroes who saved the world from a giant marshmallow and a demigod hell-bent on destruction to doing dances at birthday parties and being called fakes and frauds. I always wondered how the people of New York could just forget, call them frauds. I mean, did they not see the marshmallow the size of a skyscraper just a few years earlier? Think of how long it would have taken to have cleaned up all that mess, everything all sticky. The bugs would be everywhere, coming from miles away. Like, how could they have faked that? The sequel was considered a letdown by a lot of people, but it wasn't all bad. It gave us a dancing toaster, a killer bathtub, a purple goo that makes you feel things, and a pretty great villain, Vigo. Sure, most of the movie he's just a painting or a dismembered head floating over a river of goo, but he sure looked intimidating. The team reunites, and using the power of New York's pride and some good vibes, they ride the Statue of Liberty to the film's rousing conclusion where they defeat Vigo through schoolyard insults. Following the lackluster response to the sequel, another Ghostbusters movie wouldn't be made for nearly 30 years. But we wouldn't have to wait that long to see the proton packs in action again, because in 1997, we got another animated series with Extreme Ghostbusters. Acting as a direct sequel to the Real Ghostbusters, Extreme Ghostbusters followed a brand new team of paranormal investigators. Picking up years after the events of the Real Ghostbusters, there was a lack of ghostly activity, forcing the Ghostbusters to go out of business and go their separate ways. When ghosts start showing back up, veteran Ghostbuster Egon recruits 4 college students to form the new team and carry on the business. Slimer even returns as the team's gross ghostly pet. The group was diverse and featured characters who looked a lot less nerdy and straightforward than the original team. Unfortunately, Extreme Ghostbusters only ran for 1 season before being cancelled. In 2009, the Ghostbusters video game was released, and a lot of people look at this as the Real Ghostbusters 3. It picked up shortly after Ghostbusters 2 and featured the original cast as voice actors for their characters. But we're strictly talking about movies and television here, so sorry Ghostbusters the video game, you don't count. Which brings us to everybody's favorite reboot, Ghostbusters 2016.
Get out of my friend, Ghost! Ow, that's gonna leave a mark. The power of pain compels you! Ow!
Ghostbusters 3 had been in development hell for years. Aykroyd wanted it more than anything, but co-star Bill Murray refused to sign on or commit to the role. Murray was quick to return for Ghostbusters 2 because the first one had been such a major success. But following that sequel's lackluster response with fans, he was hesitant to try again. The studio didn't see a way to make a third film happen without Murray returning as Dr. Venkman, so things sat still. Then tragedy struck when Harold Ramis passed away in 2014. That's when Sony made the decision to reboot the series altogether with a female-led cast. And boy, did the people of the internet not like that. Listen, this movie wasn't bad because it was a female cast, and it wasn't bad because of the actresses that were in it. I mean, these were talented, hilarious actresses. Most of them former Saturday Night Live alums just like Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray. But something just didn't translate, and worst of all, it wasn't funny. It had hilarious women who had starred in hilarious movies before, but here something didn't translate. The plot was the same. A group of scientists form a team to take down the ghosts of New York. It did its best to pay homage to the original. There were cameos and references, and the film also paid tribute to Harold Ramis. But the reception from fans was universally bad. The trailer went on to become the most downvoted movie trailer in YouTube's history. Sure, a lot of that is just internet trolls being internet trolls, but the message was loud and clear, and no sequel ever happened. Listen, I don't love the Ghostbusters reboot, but I don't hate it either. Chris Hemsworth is genuinely great in it, and my daughter loves it. And if it gets my daughter excited to watch more Ghostbusters stuff, then that's something I'm happy for. And for a bonus Ghostbusters moment, Dan Aykroyd reprised his role as Ray Stantz for the opening moments of Casper in 1995, which technically makes it the third Ghostbusters film. Now there's a crossover I never knew I wanted. Ghostbusters Afterlife hits theaters November 19th. It follows the grandchildren of Egon Spengler who learn about their late grandfather's past and carry on his legacy. Original cast members, including Bill Murray, are set to reprise their roles, which means Murray finally decided to sign on for the threequel after all. Let us know in the comments what your favorite Ghostbusters movie or show is, and tell us whether you're excited for Afterlife. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content. I'm Joshua Ryan, and and I'll see you next time.